We're talking about player welfare, and as always, that seems to bring out a whole range of views. Mr. Jordan has his views on it. Mr. Keown has his views on it. So too do the likes of Arturo Vidal, Jonathan David, Leonardo Bonucci, who say, listen, something's got to be done about this. We're playing far too many games with not enough recovery time. We are athletes, we are not machines. And FIFPro, represent the players, of course, are calling for more protection of players. It was revealed that some players have travelled up to the same distance in one season as it would take for you and I, Simon, to go 2 or 3 times around the world. So something is wrong and something's got to be done. The question is what and how do we do it? The survey found that 88% of players believe that their career might be shortened as a consequence of match and training overload. Only 26% of players want to maintain international windows as they are. And FIFPro are saying, listen to us now. We want a guarantee of a minimum length off-season break and a limit on repeated back-to-back games. Essentially, we want mandatory rest periods. Martin Keown, former player, gives that his full backing. Or do you, Martin? You're saying FIFPro talking absolute sense here.
100%, Jim. I've been saying this for years now, okay? So the trend is more and more games. Now, the point about the World Cup was we can fit it in because there aren't any limitations on the number of hours between games for players. And that has to be, above all else, that needs to be resolved, Jim. So you really need to... I'm looking at it and thinking 64 hours is really the sort of time you want. You don't want 3 days because... you'll end up playing Wednesday, Sunday, and it's not really manageable. Okay, there might be situations when you go to extra time in a quarter final or a semi-final of the Champions League, and you go maybe inside of those hours. But basically, let's try and work to those 64 hours. Then you play as many games as you want. We've got a Champions League final coming up this weekend, and we've got 2 Liverpool players, Thiago and Fabinho, who might not make it because of all the games they've had to play with the necessary injuries. They want to play in these games, and the fans want them to play. The games over Christmas, where we always squeeze an extra game in. Why? We don't need to do it. Again, you saved up money to go to a game. Think of it from the fan. He sits there. He doesn't get to see. Salah doesn't play. He's gone to Anfield, first time he's ever been there. And Salah doesn't play because he can't play because he's playing so many games in quick succession.
But do you accept, Martin, that money comes into this, or do you not?
Of course, money comes into it. But the players, I'm sure, will make that adjustment. Simon laughs, and that is just ridicule. And do you know what? It's interesting. I bumped into a lot of former players this week, and every single one of them said to me, what is it with that man? He does no respect for players or former players.
What, this man?
Yeah, Simon. I'm telling you now, across the board, show respect. The players.
Which players? Tell me.
Former players.
Well,
you're not going to get any names. You're not going to get.
Martin,
no, there's
go the whole hog.
Because there are too many to tell you.
Martin, go the
We'd be
whole
here
hog.
all day
Absolutely.
if I told you. So there's this disdainfulness from you. The players just want.
You mean
to
the honesty?
Look, the
you
players.
mean the challenging of the hypocrisy and the double standards and the disingenuity?
Don't judge everyone with the players that you might have worked with at Palace.
No, I don't.
What we're talking about.
I don't.
But okay, then you say you don't, but take a good look in the mirror because I believe you do.
Okay.
All I'm saying here is.
But that doesn't make it so, does it, Martin? Because you believe it's so, and whatever little cronies you hang about with believe it's so.
Yeah.
What I do is I concentrate the minds of the hypocrisy of the position that you're advancing.
I defended you to the hilt.
But
he's not a bad guy. He's nothing like what you might perceive. He's a different bloke. Because I give people a chance,
Martin,
as you know.
But Martin,
that's
kind of irrelevant,
but
isn't it, Martin?
What I'm saying to you is, forget...
You believe a difference of opinion. I have utter disdain for the observation that you make, which is that the players will acquiesce to the demands of the industry when money comes out of the game, because it's been universally proven that that's not the case. Even during hold on, Martin. I've let you have your little tee off and personalise it like you often do, and I'm not going to rise to that nonsense because it's beneath me to do so. But when you look at it, it's been proven as a matter of course during COVID, when the industry was bleeding through its eyes, the players made their positions really, really clear that this was not their problem. It was the problem of the football clubs and the owners in the industry, full stop. And it's been that way since time immemorial. If you listen to players that have played for me, and the one that Jim's privy to this week, most of them know that I'm an incredibly fair person and value my players, but I've got to call things as I see them. And as I see it now, I do not disagree with the sentiment of players needing more recovery time if conventional wisdom suggests that that's the case. But
So
what I'm
you back
arguing
mandatory rest periods?
No, I back it insofar as a compromise has to be reached on both sides of the argument. Now, here's Danny Murphy weighing in on a point about Martin's observations about what players think. We used to stay over after European games and sleep fine. Do the warm down the next day or return in the afternoon. The lads loved it, playing more games instead of training. Not one player ever moaned about the amount of games in all my years of playing. Now, there's a boy that played at a big football club like you did, that was an international footballer, that has a diametrically opposed view to you. I don't issue disdain. I think some of the things that you say are one-dimensional and biased and need to be challenged. You're looking through the eyes of a player, and I understand it and I respect it. Having a different view and having contempt. We'll be surprised.
Because maybe he wasn't playing as many games as I was, and maybe he wasn't running after some of the best players in Europe as I was.
But what you're now doing is you're not liking someone else's opinion because it doesn't suit your narrative.
I don't agree with it.
We've also got bigger squads, Martin.
You can build whatever you want.
Try not personalise it. Let's see if we can get some logical conclusion here.
And now you now also think about it, Jim. Here's the vantage point. You've now gone from when Martin played, which was 2 subs to 3 subs to 5 subs. Whatever you give football people, with the greatest respect in the world, whatever they haven't got will be the reasons why there's a problem. We will now move from 5 substitutes as sure as day follows night. We'll be at 7 substitutes.
No.
Then we'll be at no. What do you mean no? If I'd have said to you 3 years ago we'll be at 5, you'd have gone no then. Right, so whatever you
I don't
get,
believe you're right.
And if we want to take the fixture list down, which I'm not against, I don't believe the UEFA Champions League needs to be playing the amount of games they are. Then there has to be a consequence for that, and that must be that the players accept a reduction in their wages. And when you say no one's at the table, hang on.
Maybe
you had the head of the UEFA was Michel Platini. You have Marco van Basten sitting on boards. You have Figo
We're in
sitting on boards.
2022, and we are now at the table for the first time discussing whether or not we're playing too many fixtures as a participant in the game. The ones who actually play are now having a chance.
The biggest beneficiaries. The biggest beneficiaries.
Of course they are, but they will make an adjustment to that.
Right, you've got no evidence for that.
Martin, it boils down to
no
this.
basis for that.
We'll get into this. There's a whole bunch of callers coming in here. Mandatory rest periods. What are the players prepared to give up?
You'll have to talk to them,
that?
but I would suggest 64 hours between matches.
Right. Based upon what? Martin Keown's medical
based upon recovery. You asked for an opinion. I gave you it.
What have you based 64? Why not 65 hours?
Because
why not 72?
Because hang on, Simon. Let's hear.
Look, we were 62 hours, and that was 12 o'clock. And now next season, of course, the broadcast of the BT are now going to push the times back. Liverpool argued very strongly that to play at 12:30 was just not too long, and that was 62 hours basically.
Right.
So we need to push it back so it's a 3 o'clock kickoff. The sleep is something that's very important. You can recover in that time. Of course you can, but what I'm saying is you don't want to be playing every 2 days, Jim.
Right, well, what it does mean, and we'll try and wrap this up when we come back the other side of 11 o'clock. We'll take a couple of calls on it because, by God, you're calling in numbers. But at the end of the day, it needs agreement from both sides. It needs agreement from the authorities, and it certainly needs agreement from the players. But what's it going to take? Because something's got to give. And Simon's of the opinion players will give nothing, especially if it hits them in the pocket. Player welfare always gets us like this, doesn't it? It's 11 o'clock.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.